So do you ladies feel like women are seriously ready for emotionally intelligent men?
I want to welcome you guys to the 6th episode of the Confessions of an Emotionally Unavailable Man. Now, before I get started, I want to do a quick recap. In the first 5 episodes, I covered everything from how I became that way, what were the childhood traumas, what was the conditioning, the programming that led me to become this emotionally unavailable man, how did I realize that I was, how did it impact my relationship dynamics, and what led me to finally heal. Now, one thing that I had not yet covered and realized is a huge missing piece is you, the individual who has maybe find yourself in relationship with an emotionally unavailable man, and you're looking to be in relationship with one who is indeed emotionally unavailable. How do I attract that type of person? And this is one of those type of questions that only a few people are actually ready for, because everybody may desire the same thing. We all want a healthy, functional relationship, but are you actually ready for it? Are you prepared for it? You know, there's an old saying, be careful what you ask for. Because if you're not prepared for it, it will be the exact thing that would seem as if it's a burden in your life. Like I've seen people who wanted a peaceful relationship because they were so used to the pattern of toxic relationships. And once they found a peaceful relationship, you know, there was a sort of dissonance they were going through. There was frustration because they weren't getting the same fix that they were used to. And so I want to take this episode to really break down the truth of what it takes to attract an emotionally available man, a man who is emotionally intelligent. And there is no better way to start this off than to start with a segment from...
So do you ladies feel like women are seriously ready for emotionally intelligent men?
Kitty, what do you think?
Okay, let's talk about what emotional intelligence comes with before we even get into this conversation, okay? We're talking about you wanting a man who is tolerant, who regulates his emotions, who also knows how to manage your emotions. But you're also talking about a man who knows how to navigate his sensitivities and everything else when it comes to that. But you have to consider that an emotionally intelligent man is good at cutting people off when he sees that your sensitivities bring too much reactivity. When he sees that you cannot regulate your emotions. When he sees that you have a low tolerance. This type of man that you are asking for is a man who will walk you out the door in a heartbeat if he feels like you are disrupting his peace. If he feels like there's any level of disrespect, because there's a lot that comes with emotional intelligence. So if you asking for that, you got to come with the same level of emotional intelligence as well. Okay? That comes with a number of factors. So if you are a woman who knows that even though you may be sensitive to certain things like criticism, rejection, because you're not always going to be accepted. Sometimes he's going to bounce back, and sometimes he's going to say, I don't agree with your opinion. Sometimes he's going to say, I don't like those thoughts. Sometimes he's going to say, I don't like the way you speak to me. If you're not ready for that, don't be asking for an intelligent man.
So the reason why I wanted to start out with that right there is, well, number one, it is utter and pure facts. And number two is because it is more important to ask the question before you even get into the arena of, you know, what do I do to get this relationship, is to ask yourself, am I even ready for it? Is this truly what I desire? It's like, you know, I've had a multitude of people tell me, man, you know, I know you make music. How do you get into music? I want to be an artist. And I say, why do you want to be an artist? And when we actually get to the bottom of it, most people just want to be famous. They just want to be known. And I say, well, you can be famous for a multitude of reasons. But if you want to be an artist, that's different. Like the byproduct of that may very well be you becoming famous. But if you are an artist or you are a musician, you are a songwriter, producer, etc., that means sitting with this notepad, blank sheets of paper, and staring down this barrel every single day to create something out of the unseen. It means sitting here with these keys and having to figure something out. It means isolation, solitude. It means being with yourself. It means having to conjure things up that may not be the most comfortable. It means facing some of your greatest and deepest insecurities. That's what it means to be an artist. The red carpet walks that you're seeing is maybe 1% of that lifestyle. You're seeing, you know, the yachts and the private jets, etc. That's maybe 1% of the lifestyle. What it truly is to be an artist is to do all those. And so when we get into relationships, it's like, are you sure that's actually what you truly desire? That's the first question that has to be asked. Are you sure you want an emotionally available man? Because a man who is emotionally available is one who is going to have a deep level of self-respect as well as self-understanding. And he is going to be one of integrity. His yes is yes and his no means no. When I started healing from the inside and I started to cultivate that level of self-love, it meant that I was saying no a lot more than I was saying yes. I was being honest in relationships. Instead of going along to get along, people pleasing, I would be more understanding. I could listen with a level of depth. But most of us are so obsessed with getting something. What am I going to get out this situation? He needs to show up this way for me. I used to take my clients through this exercise, my coaching clients, through this exercise of creating a list of all the perfect attributes that they desire in a partner, to create an entire laundry list of items that they have in a partner that they truly desire. Then I would have them go through the entire list and scratch off every single aspect that they're not projecting or they're not living in alignment with. So if you have, let's say, a superficial of I want a person who is physically fit, if you yourself are not physically fit, you need to scratch that off your list, because we're not going to do double standards. That's what we're not going to do. What we're not going to do is hypocrisy. If you have a desire in somebody else, I want somebody who is honest. You have to be an honest individual. If you're not moving in integrity, but you want somebody in integrity, you're not deserving of that sort of relationship. You're not aligned with that relationship. It's not to say you're not worthy to live and to exist and your humanity is belittled. But the fact of the matter is, if you do not qualify for this job, the job is not going to be given to you. It's really that simple. And you may think that, you just being accepted by this person, even though you're not fulfilling this criteria that you create for them, like you might feel like you're getting away with something. But in truth, you're going to end up in a situation where you're frustrated. You're becoming resentful. I was in a situation like that just before I finally got into a relationship with my soulmate, or at least maybe a year or two before. I remember being in a relationship dynamic where, again, it was becoming more and more clear that this individual was emotionally unstable. They were not able to regulate, understand their emotions. They were emotionally manipulative, etc. And I was becoming in tune with who I truly was, unafraid of telling the truth. And I was not in this need of just being right, but I realized, this is actually a dysfunctional relationship. And so I stepped away from it. And, I got the regular, 100 text messages sent on my phone and, every app being blown up. I got Venmo messages being sent to me. That level of, emotional instability that this person was representing. And of course, I was so thankful I made the decision to step away. But I'm telling y'all straight up, when it comes to actually attracting a man who is emotionally available, when it comes to attracting a man who is truly emotionally available, that man is going to have standards and he's going to stand on those standards. And if you perceive it as him being insecure or judging, there's all these shaming tactics that are used, but they're not helpful if what you're actually wanting is to be in relationship with such an individual. It's like if I'm trying to get a specific job and they have criteria within that resume, or they have that criteria within the job listing. If my resume doesn't match the job listing, I'm not going to get that job. Minimum requirement, 4 years of university, bachelor's degree, this. If I don't got the requirements, it don't matter what I do, what I say, how I cry out, what type of movement and march that I create for myself. It's not going to change the fact that I'm not qualified. And if they took me in because of manipulation tactics, etc., I'm still not qualified for the job. So I'm still going to struggle in that job. It's like DEI, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion. You can get me in, but on the merit of I'm whining and throwing enough of a tantrum to get myself into that situation. But once I'm in it, I'm going to struggle. And that's what she was, voicing right there. Kitty, I believe is her name. That's what she was voicing, to say, look, if you're not even ready for it, you're going to feel some type of way in that relationship. Not everybody is ready for that. Not everybody is ready for somebody who's going to be honest. It's like in friendships. Not everybody's ready for the friend who says you're destroying yourself. What you're doing is not healthy. It's not healing. It's destructive. When I was an addict, I wasn't ready for the voice of reason. The individual who said, what you're doing right now is destroying yourself. I didn't want to hear none of that. Bump that. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And they were speaking life into me. They were speaking from a place of love, but I wasn't ready to receive it. That man can show up and truly love you in a real way. And real love is honest. It is gentle, yes, but it's not going to sugarcoat in order to scapegoat the truth. Love is honest enough to where it will want your best for you, even if it means conflict. That's what I had to come and realize as a recovered people pleaser, right? Is that even if there is conflict, so long as you're telling the truth and it's from a place of love, the very best, you don't have any sort of facade that's taking place. At the very, very best, right? It may mean the person doesn't want to be around you, etc. Like I say, I'm not here for you to like me. I'm here so you can like you. I like me, so I'm going to be okay. I'm here so you can like you, so you can do whatever is necessary to get yourself the results that you desire in your own life. And so when it comes to attracting the emotionally available man, you must be somebody who is also emotionally available, which means you must be tuned into your emotions. Not to be driven by your emotions, not to be overboard, but to understand your emotions. If you want somebody who's going to make space for you to communicate yourself, you have to be the type of individual who's not going to take offense every time somebody is trying to point out what's going on in the relationship. I've seen this countless times. This hypocrisy ends up in basically, it's like I've heard people say, well, I just want him to express himself. And then once he's expressed himself, then in you come and you shut him down, right? Because you're taking offense, you're getting emotional about the situation, and so he shuts down. And then it's a perpetual cycle. And eventually, this individual would just waste away. You know, in some cases, they'll waste away within the relationship. In other cases, they just go ghost. Because there is no level of reciprocity. And as you know, the good brother TD Jakes, at least good so far. I don't know if he's involved in, some of the Diddy trials, but what I know for a fact is that he was preaching the paint off the walls when he said, a relationship without reciprocity is doomed to fail. It's doomed to fail. If you cannot meet the same standards and criteria, that's the easiest way to know if you're truly ready for this, is to go through your list and to be the equivalent of it. What am I willing to give for this? The universe is a give and receive. You breathe in and out. You understand me? You have to give a seed to the ground in order for it to develop a tree. It is the law of reciprocity. It is baked into the universe. It is giving of love and receiving of love. But instead, we're so fixated on who's going to give me this, who's going to give me love, who's going to give me this. We're looking for people to fulfill these perceived voids, in the same way we use products. Like relationships have become almost like products, commodities that we get off a shelf, we use them, extract value from them, and then we toss them away. When truth, relationships are an opportunity to grow, to develop, to become all that you can truly be from the inside out. Not for a materialistic purpose of, being perceived a certain way by people outside. Look, I got me this type of man or whatever it is. It's much deeper than that. At least I hope it's deeper than that for you. So when you're looking for this type of individual, they will find you because you're a magnet to what you are. So that's a powerful indicator to you, is if you continue to attract individuals who are emotionally unavailable, emotionally disconnected, it means there's an aspect of you, that is still living in disconnect. Straight up, we can only engage and entertain relationships that we are resonant with. That's law. You attract and you resonate with what you are. Now, may you run across, some people in the street or whatever it is that aren't in complete alignment? Absolutely. But once you get into a relationship with somebody, that's a direct reflection of something that is within yourself. Otherwise, there would be no resonance. There would be no connection there. It may be a toxic, dysfunctional connection, but nevertheless, there is resonance there. The resonance or the relating is between dysfunction and dysfunction, chaos and chaos, fear and fear. And so you have to get yourself to a new vibrational state or a new conscious awareness. You have to heal from those internal wounds. You have to allow yourself to go through the healing process to truly be ready, as opposed to thinking there's going to be somebody who's going to save you because they're different than all your other exes. They're not going to save you. You got to save yourself. And then you can actually align with the person who is good for you. And if you're still finding yourself attracted to those who are no good for you, clear indicator, you're not yet ready. I promise you. You're obsessing over these people who are ghosting you, etc. That's a rejection complex. If you find yourself drawn to, obsessing over somebody who is rejecting you, you have a rejection complex. That's a childhood wound that must be addressed, must be acknowledged, and must be resolved in order for you to even be able to not just attract and have in your orbit the man who is emotionally intelligent, but to be in a reciprocity of a relationship, to be connected and unified with that individual in the context of a relationship. It's the only way. So as our good sister here said, I would run this video over 100 times every day for the world if I could, because she is preaching right here. Everybody wants the X, Y, and Z, but nobody wants to be the X, Y, and Z. Like an old saying out of the Marines, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a hardening heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light.